Thank you. One more round of applause for our great host, Nico. He's doing such a good job. Give him a round of applause. Thanks, Nico. Oh, you're all awake after last night. This is wonderful. Thank you for being here. Look, I like to get distractions out of the way right away when I'm speaking. And I've been told many times that one of the biggest distractions is my face. Because apparently I look familiar to a lot of people. People look at me all the time and go, oh, you remind me of somebody I know. So I just didn't want you getting too excited when I came up here on stage going, oh my gosh, this is so cool. They brought Pitbull out to speak to us. It's a different guy, okay? It's not me. I'm not even cool enough to be Pitbull's little white brother, Poodle. I'm not going to, every other word isn't going to be, me going, Mr. Worldwide, Mr. 305, Dale. No, that's not how it's going down. I just didn't want you to get too excited or racking your brain. I want you focused. I don't want you thinking constantly while I'm up here. You know who he really reminds me of is like a nerdy Jason Statham. Which I'll take that. I mean, I'll take that. You can call me a nerdy Jason Statham. I mean, I don't know if I look like Jason Statham. But don't think I won't try. Do you know what I mean? I mean, why not? That guy is beautiful. So you can call me a nerdy Jason Statham or whatever you want. A friend of mine told me, you don't remind me of any of those guys. Do you know who you really remind me of? You remind me of your dog. And I was like, oh, well, that's the sweetest thing anyone could ever say. First of all, look at my dog. I mean, look how muscular he is as he's running out of the ocean. Just like, what's up, yo? So when she said, you remind me of your dog, I was like, thank you. That's a great compliment. Plus, my dog is very loving and compassionate, and he's a loyal friend. He'll go anywhere that I go. So when she said, you remind me of your dog, I was like, thanks. That means a lot. And she said, oh, no, not that dog, your other dog. And I was like, oh, no, not Edwin. He's the worst. Edwin's a freak. Edwin's just this small little guy. He's all over the place, jumping around. He's got these short little arms and legs. And I was like, oh, I see what she means. Yeah, Edwin. And I bring up Edwin because Edwin and I have something in common. Both Edwin and I tend to get a little stressed out at times. We both can run high and get a little stressed. And that's what I want to talk with you about today. And maybe you're like me and Edwin, and you experience stress in your own life. So I want to share with you a few scary statistics about stress. So here's a couple scary statistics. Here's a scary statistic from the APA. Workplace stress costs U.S. businesses over 550 million work days and over $500 billion per year. That's a scary statistic. Here's another scary statistic from Deloitte. Globally, 56% of Gen Z and millennials searched for new jobs due to stress, while 25% quit. That's a scary statistic. And here's a scary statistic. 68% of people just feel like a statistic. And that's from me today. I just made that up. But the other two are very true. I could go on and on and on about stress, but I'm guessing you understand stress. I'm guessing you have felt stress in your own life and at work. And the thing is we all have a tool to help us with this. We all possess a tool that can also help make us more connected and more efficient at work and enhance our lives. And no, it's not slack. It's our sense of humor. And it turns out that your sense of humor is really good for your brain. Because when you laugh, come on, clicker. Yeah, it's really good for your brain because when you laugh, your brain gets flooded with a dose of happiness chemicals. And by dose, I literally mean D-O-S-E, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins flood your brain when you find something amusing or when you laugh. And so when you find something funny, you get this automatic shift in the chemicals of your brain, making you feel more empathetic to people, more connected to people, more relaxed and present in the moment. There's so much that humor and laughter does for our bodies. It's incredible. When we experience humor and laughter, it lowers our blood pressure, decreases muscle tension in our body, increases pain tolerance, it lowers cortisol levels, which is what causes us stress, decreases inflammation in our body, and it massages our internal organs. I don't even know what that means, but that sounds great. When's the last time you had an internal organ massage? Right? Like, oh, my pancreas. Great. That sounds wonderful. And the cool thing is your body doesn't even know the difference between a fake laugh and a real laugh. And also, I don't know the difference between a fake laugh and a real laugh either. So if I say something that's only kind of funny, feel free to laugh anyway for your own benefit. Great example up front. Thank you. I appreciate that. It was a very, very good example. Humor and laughter can be a key to giving us one more tool to being able to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of other people. You know, the old metaphor, like putting your mask on before you assist somebody else with theirs. And I know this is an overused metaphor. We use this a lot. You got to put your own mask on first. But it is something that I think we often forget or take for granted. I was on a flight. I was sitting next to a woman and her little daughter. And they made the announcement on the plane that if we lose cabin pressure and the oxygen masks come down and you're traveling with a small child, assist yourself first before assisting the child. And the little girl asked her mom, "Mom, why do they tell you to put your mask on first?" And the mom said, "Why do you think?" And the little girl thought about it for a second, and she goes, "'Cause you can't help me if you're dead." I was like, yes, that's the answer. Yes, this little girl gets this whole concept that we often forget. We have to be able to take care of ourselves first. I was on another flight, and they made the announcement, you know, if you're traveling with a small child, assist yourself first before assisting the child. But if you're traveling with more than one small child, decide which kid you love most and help that one first. It's like, oh, wow, it's going to be like that today. All right. So apparently this lady loves that little boy the most. Which, as I look at that, I'm like, who's doing these drawings for these planes? Is that even a child? What kind of child is on a plane wearing slacks and a golf shirt? Like, hello, mother. Okay, great day for a plane ride. It's like the artist goes, "Oh, I can't draw kids. I'll just draw a tiny little middle-aged man." And that's coming from a tiny little middle-aged man. I know what that looks like on a plane. That's what I look like on a plane. My little legs dangling off. It's wonderful. That's why I like to travel. I also like it when I'm on the plane and they bring me those little mini bottles of water or little mini bottles of wine. I just like to hold them, you know, like now I know what a normal-sized man feels like when he holds a bottle of wine. I'm a giant. I noticed everyone here, all the men here in Austria seem to be about a foot taller than me. So it feels very nice. Nico, I was like, hey, man, what's up? But you get the idea that we need to be able to take care of ourselves first before taking care of others. And one great tool to be able to do that is by developing a humor habit, specifically using humor to cope with life's struggles. And using humor to cope with life's struggles can lead to a reduction in stress, lessen the impact of even traumatic events, increase overall life satisfaction, even job satisfaction, and enhance our levels of resilience through adversity. And I'm going to show you how you can rewire your brain to see the humor and absurdity and joy in life more often. I mean, after all, they say, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, right? But have you ever had lemonade made from just lemons? It's not good. No. Nobody says, oh, sorry you didn't get the promotion, Carl. Here, have some citric acid. That's not tasty. No, to make lemonade, you also need a sweetener, and humor is life's sweetener. But it's not easy at first. It's not easy at first to see the humor in things in life. I mean, I talk about humor, do comedy for a living, and I get caught up in taking myself and my job and my work way too seriously. I remember early on in my career, I had this opportunity to speak at a huge conference. There were all these Fortune 500 companies there, and so I was taking that opportunity very seriously. I had my pocket full of business cards, and I was going to network with everybody I saw. Hey, my name's Paul. Give me a call sometime. Hey, my name's Paul. We should do business together. And I was dialed in. And I remember speaking with this one executive, and as we got done, I said, oh, hey, wait a minute. And I reach in my pocket, and I go, give me a call sometime. And I hand him my hotel room key. And he goes, oh, that escalated quickly. And I was like, oh, gosh, no. I was so embarrassed. My neck turned red. My face turned red. I was so embarrassed. And I was beating myself up over it like, you idiot. And I didn't need to. He was a nice guy, and he kept our room clean. But it was clearly a funny moment, but my brain was telling me a different story. My brain was making it out like I was the lead actor in a drama. And I had just ruined my big shot. I remember walking off like, you idiot. That guy is never going to call you. You ruined that. It was such a good opportunity. Getting so in a negative headspace about it. I think sometimes my brain doesn't produce the right amount of that humor sweetener to see the humor in real time. And what I found doing this work over the past decade or so is that I'm not alone. And in fact, there are millions of people around the world suffering from a condition that I call chronic seriousness. And there's a massive subsection of people suffering from chronic seriousness, and those people are called adults. So if you or someone you know is an adult or may become an adult, you may talk to your doctor about chronic seriousness. But in all seriousness, Gallup's survey of over 1.4 million people across 166 countries found that our propensity to laugh dramatically drops when we hit age 23. And we don't start gaining those laughs back again until we're almost 80. This is nearly 60 years of chronic seriousness. Almost 60 years of limiting our own access to a resilience tool that's built into the human psyche. And why age 23? Because that's the time that we get jobs. And we go to work and things start to get really serious. I've got deadlines and KPIs and got to get more leads and more sales, and things start to get really tense. We start sucking down quad shot lattes and wheatgrass smoothies. And even the way we talk about work gets way too intense. It's like, hey, I got to jump on a call, then I have a hard stop because I got to run to a meeting. So shoot me an email. We'll tackle that, drill down, hammer out the details. Because I got a lot of balls in the air and irons in the fire. So we'll cast a wide net, run it up the flagpole, take a deep dive, see if we can move the needle. So keep grinding, hustling, crushing it, and killing it, and we'll all circle back while we zoom. It's insane. It's absolutely exhausting, and there's got to be another way to do it. And we can combat this chronic seriousness with humor. So we're going to do a little experiment to get ourselves out of this chronic serious headspace. The prefrontal cortex of our brain that's right now making lists and going, okay, what do I have next? What's going on? We'll get out of that part of the brain and into the parts of the brain that are responsible for connecting with one another and being present in the moment. So on the count of 3, we're all just going to laugh for no reason at all. It'll just be a fake laugh. Now, if this is uncomfortable for you, you could just mimic your friend's laugh if you want. You can just think of your best friend or the person sitting next to you and laugh like they would, but nice and loud. Or you can do your own laugh. But don't worry, because everyone's going to be thinking about themselves and not you. We're all going to be doing this. And we'll just laugh for 4 or 5 seconds on the count of 3 and see what it sounds like when 2,000 people are all laughing together. Are you ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Great. Very, very good. Very good. Okay, wonderful. Oh, good. Give yourselves a round of applause. Yeah. I like that you were so quick to celebrate your success. That was wonderful. Now, it turns out, research shows that if you do that fake laugh at work, you'll look like a psycho. I wouldn't suggest it, although it might be a good productivity hack. right? You need a few minutes alone. That one person who's always bugging you, like, hey, you got a second? And you can just go, sure, come on in. What is it? And they'll go, it looks like you're having a meltdown. I'll give you a few minutes to yourself. You go, it worked. Great. But okay, now we're a little bit warmed up. We're having a good time. There's so much written out there about how much humor helps and what humor does for us. But unfortunately, there's not a lot about, well, how do I do it? How do I develop my sense of humor? And when am I supposed to just laugh things off in life? Like when I accidentally lock the keys of my rental car in the trunk before I'm supposed to take it back to the airport? Like, oh, life, I'm silly. No, I'm freaking out, right? I'm getting stressed out. But we can train our brains to see the levity in life more often with some humor interventions, things that I call humor habits. So I want to share with you a few humor habits that you can start right now. One is called a 3 funny things intervention. You could start this today. For the next 7 days, just write down 3 things you found funny or amusing. Maybe they made you laugh out loud. Maybe they just made you think, oh, that's pretty funny. You write those things down. What we found is that people who did this just for 1 week increased their overall happiness and decreased depressive symptoms for up to 6 months. Plus, what it's doing is it's training you to look for those funny moments throughout your day. Another humor habit is something I call a humor jar. This is one you can do in groups. You can do this at work or at home. But so much of the humor in our lives happens spontaneously. Someone does or says something funny, we all laugh, and then we forget about it. But positive psychology research tells us that if we can learn to savor moments of joy, then we get a huge boost in well-being and happiness. So what you do is you just take a jar, slips of paper, and a pen and put it in a prominent location, in a meeting room, at the office, in the kitchen, at home. And when something funny happens, you write it down, savoring that moment, put it in the jar. But what's cool is you can double dip in the happiness, because positive psychology research also tells us that reminiscing about past moments of joy also boosts our happiness. So depending on how many people you have doing this, then you can come back at the end of the month or quarter or year and relive all your funniest moments. I know when I first started doing a humor jar years ago, I had a day where I was the opening keynote speaker for a big conference at a hotel. It was at 8 a.m., and there was a breakfast buffet downstairs, and I thought, I'm just going to sneak down there and grab a tray of food and bring it back up to my room and get ready and eat while I'm getting ready in my room. So I quickly just threw on the clothes that I had on yesterday and ran downstairs, but all the conference participants were down there. So I was trying to just kind of sneak through, grab my stuff. And as I was going through the line with my food, every step I took, I realized there was something moving down my pant leg. And I was like, what is that? Every step, there's something in my pants. And by the time it got down to about my knee, I realized, oh no, that's the underwear that were in there from yesterday. And I can't let them come all the way out the bottom of my pants. So now I'm standing there with one leg up, just going, oh gosh, I'm just like a dirty flamingo. It's like, hi. And for those of you judging me, don't judge me, you've done this. But I'm standing there, and then I had to kind of hop back to the elevator, like, we'll see y'all in a little bit. Okay, great. I wrote that down, put it in my humor jar. That was years ago, and I have not forgotten that since. So these are things that can help you remember all the fun times during your day. Another is something called the what I could have said game. And this is thinking back to stressful situations that maybe you took too seriously and thinking, what could I have done to add levity to that situation? When I do workshops with groups, sometimes we'll do this activity, and I was speaking with a manager. This is a form of cognitive reappraisal. We know that positive reappraisal, when we reframe past stressors more positively, it leads to a greater increase in our overall positive emotions and a decrease in negative emotions. But humorous reappraisal, reframing those stressors with humor, leads to an even greater increase in positive emotions and decrease in negative emotions. And when I was asking people, think of a situation that you took too seriously, or that you cast yourself as the lead actor in a drama. And this one manager said that there was a team lunch outing, and an email went out to everybody with a change of location for the team lunch, and it went out to everyone but her. And so the whole team ended up eating at a restaurant across town while she ate by herself at a restaurant on the other side of the city. And it was a complete accident. Everybody was very apologetic, and she knew that, but she was so angry about it. And she said, I wish I could have let it go. She said she went back to the office and gave her entire team the silent treatment for the rest of the day, and was just really upset. And so she played the what I could have said game, said, I wish I could have come back and made a joke, coming back saying, actually, thank you. That's the first hour I've had to myself in 20 years. Or, hey, it sure made splitting the checks a lot easier. It doesn't even matter if what you come up with makes you laugh out loud. Just the practice of doing this is giving you ownership over these situations. A friend of mine who's a therapist, Steve Sultanov, he does this with his clients. He had one client who's dealing with anger issues, and he was processing a situation where he was leaving a store with his infant, and a woman said, hey, make sure you cover that baby up, it's raining outside. And that made him so angry. He's like, what, she think I'm an idiot? She think I'm a bad father? He was so angry about it. So when his therapist told him, play the what I could have said game. What if you went back and handled that situation with a little humor? What would you have said? And so his favorite that he came up with was, hey, make sure you cover that baby up. It's raining outside. Oh, it's okay. We just had him waterproofed. Or cover that baby up. It's raining outside. Oh, great. We've never bathed him yet. Now, it's easier said than done to be able to reframe our struggles using humor. But you compare these positive psychology strategies with some tools from the world of comedy. And by doing this, it's something that I call practicing positive psychomedy, where you're reframing past struggles or taking your pain and playing with it. And so I want to share with you just a couple of hacks that humorists and comedians use to make humor out of things. One of them is comparison. You just take your situation that you're dealing with and compare it to something totally different. So I'll give you an example. Not long ago, I ran a meeting, and it just didn't go well. It was just an ineffective meeting, and I remember thinking, oh, that meeting was just horrible. And then later I was watching football, and I saw the head coach of this football team having to give a press conference after the game, and I thought, I'm really glad I don't have to give a press conference after I do a poor job. And that led me to making those comparisons and coming up with this.
Yeah, I just didn't have it in there today. I wasn't on my A game at all. We got off to a slow start. People started talking about their weekends, and I let that go on too long. Next thing we know, we're starting that meeting 12 minutes late, and we just can't expect to come from behind like that every week. We got to find a way to get the momentum early, get off to a fast start, and that'll be something we definitely look at in preparation for next week.
Yeah, seemingly there was some frustration of people just repeating what others had said.
Yeah, well, one person made a comment that there weren't enough healthy snacks in the break room, and that prompted every other person in the meeting to feel the need to make the same comment but in a different way. Ultimately, the buck stops with me. I got to cut that off, and that's going to be a huge point of emphasis moving forward.
So was there even an agenda for this meeting?
Yeah, there was an agenda, okay? But, you also got to be fluid, though. It's a fine balance.
Can you talk about your issues with technology in there?
Yeah, the technology issues are killing us. It is not that hard to unmute yourself before you start talking. And you can share your screen without announcing, I'm going to share my screen right now, and making it all awkward. We've got to get the technology under control. At the same time, I am proud about how we battled through that adversity and came together.
There's a rumor that you might just cancel this meeting from here on out.
Cancel? Are you kidding me? No. We just got to focus one meeting at a time, get better each week, stay positive.
Could this meeting have just been an email?
Next question.
So thanks. It sounds like you all have been to one of those meetings. Yeah, so you can see, you can compare it. Another strategy is exaggeration. You just take the pain point you're feeling or your situation, and you heighten it until it becomes ridiculous or absurd or funny to you. So a situation that could happen to any of us, your car breaks down, and you're starting to get stressed, and you send a text home like, I'll be home as soon as I can, I've been waiting for a tow for an hour, I'll be there as soon as I can, and stress is starting to build. Why not heighten it, exaggerate, send another text home. I'll be home as soon as I can. Please tell the kids I love them, wish them luck in college, and text me photos when they produce grandchildren. this absurd exaggeration provides immediate perspective of the relative importance of that moment in our lives. It's been 10 years since I accidentally gave that hotel room key to that executive. And believe it or not, here we are 10 years later, and me and that executive still have never spoken again. I wish I could have wrapped that up in a happy little bow for you, but it's real life, not a Disney movie. I screwed that up. But here's the thing, is my brain was wrong about that moment. My brain made it out like this was a huge failure, an epic disaster, and that it was going to impact my career negatively. But that's not the case. I'm here speaking with all of you. Things are great. And our brains sometimes make these mistakes, like these moments in our lives are these huge disasters or these epic fails or mistakes, when really they're just funny footnotes in our lives. Now, developing your sense of humor is just like developing any other skill, like learning a foreign language or a musical instrument. And just like those things, developing a humor habit and having a great sense of humor is not a talent. Humor is a habit. And by developing a humor habit, you can train your brain to see the levity and humor and lighter side of life more often, and learn to experience humor not by chance, but by choice. So don't choose to live your life as an actor in a drama just to reach the end to find out you are the director. And it could have been a comedy. Thank you very much. Thank you.